5, 4, 3, 2.
Could you state your name and the candidate position that you're running for?
Shexnayder, VP of Activities.
I'm Sargun, Handa, and I'm running for AS President.
Hi, I am Tommy Rice, and I'm running for the AS President of the Senate.
My name is Rahma Iqbal, and I am running for Senate President.
I'm Sophie Snyder, and I'm running for VP of Student Services.
My name is Resendiz-Eyler, and I'm running for the Vice President of Governmental Affairs.
Hi, my name is Minogue, or Maggie. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm running for Vice President of Diversity.
Why are you running?
Well, I'm running because I've done a lot of student government in the past, and I feel like I can really apply my experience to this position. Especially, I think VP of Activities is really important because clubs are a main way on campus of connecting with other people, especially with fixing problems on campus that we deal with, like food security, access to health services. A lot of that, if we didn't have the clubs actively, doing stuff to make sure we get those rights, they're not going to happen. Plus, they're just fun to do, so.
Representation matters to me. As a queer woman of color, a first-generation college student, and a person with multiple chronic illnesses, my intersectional identities influence my Western experience. I know what it feels like to be unheard, be unrepresented, to not have people who look like me in positions of power. And because of that, I ran for Student Senate my freshman year, and I was vice chair then. And in my sophomore year, I was the first woman of color to be Student Senate President at Western in its entire 17-year history. So I took a break for a year, but I couldn't stay away for long, and I missed my time in the AS, and I missed my time advocating for students. In my over 1,500 hours of serving students at Western, I've worked on the Huxley College name change, shredding the contract, and so many other DEI-related issues. And I just remember loving that feeling of knowing that helping others helps me. And so I want to make sure that people don't feel as helpless and hopeless as I once had, and make Western a better place for all students in the future.
Well, I have experience both in throughout my earlier years of doing student government in high school, and then I was in hall council last year, and I really enjoy being in student government and having the option to help support and make the campus better for my peers. And it's just also, I feel like whenever I've done a leadership role like this, you always get just such a great community with great people that you work with, so I'm looking forward to doing that again.
I'm running because after being on the Senate this year, I feel like having a president who knows what it's like to be on the Senate as someone who is new to the AS and who is just kind of looking to do good work. It's really helpful to have someone who is there for you and is there to guide you and initiate you and kind of just tell you where to go and how to make things happen.
I really like the atmosphere at Western. I feel like everybody here is super involved in politics, and that's just so healthy for keeping a good community. And especially right now, it's so important for women to be getting out there and getting themselves represented in politics.
Well, I'm running to make Western more politically active and more politically aware of local, national, and state politics. I want to make sure student voices are being heard and changes are being made by and for the students.
And I heard about the AS government, and I was very interested, and I'm already in hall council for my hall. So I figured I could also help, and I think I bring some pretty good ideas to the table and make sure that things generally run smoothly.
If you had $1 million, what would you buy first?
Well, first I'd get a good accountant, and then probably put some away for savings, give some of my friends and family, and then probably blow a fair bit of it on just something stupid like video game console, new clothes,
I would give back to my family. I'd probably buy them a retirement house because my parents they immigrated from India, and they sacrificed their entire life, their family, their friends, to come and bring a better life for me. They spent all of their savings when they worked at a gas station with no college education to pay for my medical bills with disabilities. And the fact that my parents were so strong and left their entire life that they knew to make sure that I would succeed here, I just know that I want to pay it forward and give back to communities that have helped me. So give back to my parents, donate to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and donate to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
If I had $1 million, I think that one of the things that I know right now is that my friends and I like to hang out and do stuff, but we don't have a car, so probably a car, just so I can have the ability to travel as I feel.
I think I would get a van and pimp it out, or a house. Yeah.
I think I would want to give it to the student organizations here. I feel like there are so many talented and driven people that, if given the chance, they could do so much for the community and like the greater community of Bellingham and Whatcom. Personally, I would also like to get rid of Armark. I just don't think it's a company that serves the students, and I don't think it reflects the value of many students here either. And I feel like a healthier option would be better for the students' mental health and for physical health.
If I had $1 million, I'd finally be able to afford rent in Bellingham, so that'd be useful. But in all seriousness, I'd probably buy my parents a house, fund my education, and then donate to some of the programs that help the Bellingham Home Fund and the Washington Student Association.
Personally, I've been told I'm not the most materialistic person, and it's always difficult to buy presents for me. So probably just saving for college, and my brother's also going to college soon, so probably helping him out with tuition if I had an option.
How would you want to help and assist different clubs throughout the year?
Well, first off, I feel like for a lot of our clubs, we're not doing enough to actually increase student engagement. We're mostly relying on people looking through the Western Involvement Network, going through email chains, stuff like that, to try to reach students when not everyone reads their email. I think that we should more focus on, one, having more collaboration between clubs and AS for, like, if a club wants to be at an AS event, that can be a great way to have them actually meet with students. I also think having specific campaigns for certain clubs would work really well for, advertising those clubs, especially if they're like an activist group, that can be really helpful.
How can you represent the interest of all Western students?
During my year off from the AS this year, I got to see so many different perspectives at Western. I served as a wellness advocate for the Counseling Center, a multicultural outreach assistant in the Office of Admissions, an ethnic studies student programmer for the newly funded and approved ethnic studies program. I've been a crisis counselor for the crisis text line, and now I'm going to be a camp counselor in the summer. So it's not just my identities that make me diverse, it's also my experiences. I have much more than just 1,500 hours of service in the AS. I have experiences with constituents and students all across campus, and I've seen their stories, and I've heard the issues that they think are important. So that's how I know that I can represent Western students, is not only by bringing their stories to the table, but also bringing their voices to the table and creating space for them to speak up for themselves. I don't believe in being a voice for the voiceless. I believe in giving them their voices back. So having more forums with administration, having more spaces for students at large in committees, and also just in general, a good leader doesn't create more followers, a good leader creates more leaders.
How would you want to represent the academic interest of all Western students?
So I have many friends across different academic interest groups, and I know that everyone has, both in majors and in different groups, have their own opinions on what they want, and that everyone's opinion is of equal value. So I'll try and listen to everyone's opinions and treat it as equally what your major is doesn't determine the value of your opinion.
I think just being kind and inclusive and doing work where I know it's needed and not where I feel the need to like insert myself.
If a student has an issue with residency, dining, or off-campus living, how would you go about solving it?
I would want to get as much information as possible, like what happened, who was involved, how was the school involved, like what institutions within the school were involved. I think it's important to like find exactly what went wrong and whether, you know, that's something that I can fix and make sure that it won't happen again for another student. There are so many resources here that the school offers, and I feel like many students just don't know about them or not getting access to them, and that is my main goal, is for students to get direct access to the services here.
In fostering a diverse, equitable, and inclusion environment, how would you make sure everyone is represented? Personally, I'm a very big people person where it's like I would like to go out into the community and talk to people from different backgrounds and different experiences and figuring out what they need and want from us and if they have any ideas, and just bring other voices into the conversation, because I can only do so much for myself and who I represent, but I think getting outside personal experience could like just makes it so much better, because I can tell someone else's story, but it's not going to be as impactful as the person who tells their own story. Yeah.
What types of student needs would you want to advocate for at a government level?
Yeah, so the Washington Student Association has like 5 goals that they try to achieve at the government level, which I want to take and try to help achieve those at the government level as well. One being racial equity. Students should feel welcomed and safe here on campus. Financial aid, no matter your income, race, age, or citizenship, all students should be able to have an education without a lifetime of debt. Basic needs, food, housing, child care services, mental health services, school supplies. These are all essential. No student should be hungry and no student should be homeless. Voting rights. College students are one of the most disenfranchised group of voters in America, and making sure that their votes are protected are very important. And accessibility, no matter who we are or where we come from, it's important to make sure that we all are able to get an education, and that we are able to just break down systematic barriers to achieve that.
Nice. All right. Those were our 4 questions.
Great.
Good job.
Ooh,
Yeah.
awesome.